This Monday, December 2nd, 2024, at 5:30 p.m. in the council chambers. Mayor Terry Darcy presiding.
We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Darcy,
Here.
Councilman Cardenas,
Here.
Councilman Clement,
Here.
Councilman Guerrero,
Here.
Councilman Hug,
Here.
Councilwoman Ibarra,
Here.
Councilman Mudrin,
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Here.
Councilman Reardon.
Hi. Oh, I mean here. I was just saying hi. I was looking at her and saying hi.
Next is citizens to be heard on agenda items. Is there anyone who would like to speak under citizens to be heard on agenda items?
Hello, everybody. Hey, I've got a question here on this budget thing with the, as far as the fuel tax thing, gas tax thing. How you guys wanna raise the diesel fuel prices 11 cents more and that, you know, because of the number of trucks. But here's this downside of it. What about people like me who got diesel pickup trucks? Why should we have to pay the much higher rate and everything because we own a diesel pickup truck? Now, my diesel pickup truck was given to me by my boss when he died, and so it's not like, okay, I can afford to buy a diesel pickup truck, I can afford to buy the fuel for it. But I'm being punished for the fact that all these semi-trucks on the road, and they're driving up the costs, and I gotta pay. I don't think people who own diesel pickup trucks should have to pay the same price as semi-diesels. You know, I understand the number of trucks on the road, but, you know, when you put it on the citizens too, and I mind you that all the costs that you do raise and everything do come back for the public, because when the trucks have to pay more for the fuel, the prices of everything in the stores are gonna go up too with it. And that was the whole thing I thought was Centerpoint made these intermodals was having all the warehouses here was gonna make everything cheaper, but I go to truck stops and I look at the price of like diesel additives and that, and it's, you know, I get overwhelmed when I see the $10 more for a diesel additive compared to Walmart's price on it. You know, the truck stops are capitalizing on it already with the fuel costs and everything, but I just don't think that we shouldn't be punished more for having our diesel pickup trucks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak tonight on any agenda items? Okay, seeing none. Next, we will have the city manager review tomorrow night's actionable items.
Good evening, everyone. Tomorrow we'll hear from Land Use and Economic Development, Public Safety, and Public Service. Consent agenda, approval of minutes and invoices to be paid. Council Memo 56024, award of contract for the 2025 to 2028 snow removal for the City of Joliet commuter, city center, and municipal parking lots. Just interrupt me if anyone has any questions on any of them. Council Memo 56124, award of contract for the Elgin Avenue Road Repair Project to Austin Tyler Construction in the amount of $48,367. Council Memo 56224, change order number 1 for the Ottawa Street, Joliet Street Streetscape Project to PT Farrow Construction in the amount of $10,460. Council Memo 56324, change order number 1 for the Stone Street Center to Hickory Roadway Improvement Project to PT Farrow Construction in the amount of $54,149.90. And payment request number 3 and final in the amount of $42,933.39. Council Memo 56424, change order number 1 for the Richmond Street from Fairlane Drive to Sunset Strip roadway improvement project to PT Farrow Construction in the amount of $36,433.27. And payment request number 3 and final in the amount of $33,813.57. These both last two were net decreases. Council Memo 56524, change order number 1 for the Garnsey Park Phase 5B Water Main Improvement Project on behalf of construction by Camco Inc. in the amount of $504,000.
Beth, can we have Allison just kind of review
Yeah.
this for everybody, that $500,000 ad order again?
Absolutely.
This is the, which one, Garnsey 5B?
Yeah, this is the one where
You ran into the
we
stone.
ran into the stone.
Okay, so this change order is for additional rock excavation. So when we plan for our projects, we go out and do soil borings, and we select a certain number of soil borings for each project area. We generally have knowledge of where rock exists within the city, and in those areas, we can expect to have a quantity of rock, but in this area, we did not expect rock, and the soil borings that we did complete did not show rock. However, we did have a quantity within the bid, so we did receive competitive unit pricing for rock excavation. So this is just the additional amount due to the rock that we actually encountered, which was significantly more than we had expected. But had we known that that rock existed, the award price for the contract would have just been significantly more.
Thank you. Any other questions on it?
Council Memo 56624, change order number 1 for the 2024 pavement marking program to Superior Road Striping, Inc. in the amount of $12,542.60, which is a reduction, and payment request number 4 and final in the amount of $21,827.50. Council Memo 56724, final balancing change order number 1 for the Cathedral Area Phase 1A Water Main Improvement Project on behalf of Austin Tyler Construction for a decrease in the amount of $263,570.50.
Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Beth, you don't see decreases too much. Can you explain to the public for the next 3? They're all decreases.
Yeah,
How does that come to be?
and previous ones have all been decreases too. So Allison and Greg, do you want to, Allison can tell us for utilities and Greg can tell us for roadways?
Yeah, so when we prepare the bids, we assume quantities for certain items, and then at the end of the job, you can do a balancing change order. And there's many times like these that are decreases where we don't use quantities because they're simply not needed. So we only pay for the quantities that are actually used in the contract.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it the same for you, Greg?
Yeah, I'd echo what Allison said. We pay on actual quantity installed, not what the actual bid was. So, if we had 100 feet of curb that we felt needed to go in and it turned out to be 99 feet of curb, we only pay for the 99 feet.
Thank you.
Council Memo 56824, final balancing change order number 1 for the Cathedral Area Phase 1B Water Main Project Improvement Projects on behalf of Austin Tyler Construction for a decrease in the amount of $204,263.16. Council Memo 56924, final balancing change order number 1 for the Bridal Wreath Acres Water Main Improvement Project on behalf of Austin Tyler, Inc. for a decrease in the amount of $280,935.26. Council Memo 57024, purchase of 2 trailers for hazmat use for the City of Joliet Fire Department from Morris Trailer for $64,904. This amount is already funded in the budget. Council Memo 57124, purchase of 2 complete Horton ambulances from Foster Coach in the amount of $764,878. And this is also, and was approved in the 2023 for the 2024 budget. Moving it to agenda items, Council Memo 57324, purchase of 4 complete Horton ambulances from Foster Coach in the amount of $1,529,756. So the fire department, along with fleet services, has developed a schedule for equipment replacement over the next 5 years. So 2, which we just talked about, that were funded in the 2024 budget, we'll have 2 in the 2025 budget and 2 in the 2026 budget. It takes about 30 months for us to order and receive the completed unit. So the future 4 units have been moved until 2026 for budgeting purposes, but still will not be charged to us until 2027.
I also noticed that it's the same price
Yeah,
for all of them.
it's the same price for all of them, so that's the advantage of ordering them all now, when we know there's a long lead time and we can lock the prices in, because they inevitably go up.
Yeah.
Council Memo 57424, award of contract for the 2024 resurfacing contract C to Gallagher Asphalt in the amount of $2,669,777.47. Also, Council Memo 57524, same memo, award of contract for the 2024 resurfacing contract to D. Gallagher Asphalt in the amount of $2,592,888.98. This memo D is a little higher, but it's because there's more cul-de-sacs in the D contract than there are in the C contract. We will not have any licenses of permit applications. We will have some public hearings. Council Memo 57724, public hearing for the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, the CDBG report that we heard from Jackie Lozado. We've heard a lot from her about CDBG recently, so this will just be a public hearing for everything you've already heard. Is there anything you want to add to that, Jackie? Okay.
I have a question, Mayor.
Yeah.
Did we ever get this snow removal settled? Because I was getting some phone calls. There was some miscommunication between City Hall and some of the folks out there. They were saying, we said, you know, we still have spots open, and then when they would call, they go, we don't have spots for you. And so there was a little bit, you know.
I believe everything's been worked out. Do you have comments on that, Jackie?
Good evening. Just in regards to the snow removal program, the application process was open from October 1st to October 18th. We marketed through Senior Services and all of our other local agencies. Senior Services did do the intake last year, but we acquired it this year and took care of both the intake and the management of the program. So we tried to keep the process as open as possible. We had it available online and also took in-person appointments. So we had that 3-week period that the applications were open. For anybody that was not able to get their application in on time after we hit capacity, we do have a wait list going. We are working actively with our new EMA, Mr. Lukancic, to try to arrange volunteer services. Also, the fire department has a few ideas regarding volunteer services to handle that wait list if possible.
Okay, but please keep in mind, okay, this comes easy to us. A lot of seniors do not even have a computer. They can't get online. And if they're not online first, then they lose out. And that's not right, okay? Because a lot of these folks are in their 80s and 90s, and some have disabilities in their 70s. And they do not even have a cell phone. So please keep that in mind when we're doing these things, because
Absolutely.
you can't just go online because they don't know how to do it and they don't have a computer.
So although that's one avenue that it was available, we were taking appointments every hour on the hour for those 3 weeks that the application was open for anybody that wasn't able to complete an online application. So they were able to come in person and fill it out. For those that may have been homebound or disabled, we offered for them to be able to mail the documents in and just do a phone interview over the phone for the rest of the information.
Okay, because last year we had some concerns also about people not showing up, and they were going out of town and they were having their stuff, whatever. And that was an issue too, because it didn't help people that actually needed the snow removal, and that spot was taken.
Right. We were able to have a bit of a reader or screen prior to the application to define what it was and what it wasn't. Services were only provided when there's 3 inches of snow or more. Unfortunately, a lot of people that we may have had complaints for in the past weren't aware that the services are only provided in certain instances and not for every snowfall that we had.
Right.
But we were able to clearly define what to expect with the program, its limitations, as well as any changes from the previous years.
And I'd also ask you if you could follow up on the people that are doing the snow removal, because I did get some complaints last year where the snow wasn't done and they were saying it was done. So we need to see who's doing that as well, you know?
Yeah, I've tried to take all of the input from the last few years and try our best to kind of navigate those barriers before this season started. We have 4 contractors for this year, and communication has been very open with all 4 of them to make sure everybody's on the same page, everybody's following the same website for the snowfall information and when to expect services. We are also, for anybody that has provided us a email address, we are sending out bulk emails when to expect services, to remind them to move vehicles or personal properties from the area, so that way the contractors could provide as good a service as possible.
Phone calls as well, did you say?
So phone calls only to those that didn't provide an email
That's
address.
okay.
Yes.
That was my question.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jackie, for really professionalizing it. You're really doing a great job for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm open to any input that's coming in. Please reach out.
Yeah.
Just a quick comment. Great program, a lot of seniors and people that need it, very positive. Maybe we can just, the newsletter, we can add something in there where they can go and see exactly what the criteria is, and then maybe we can put in the water bill, but great program. I'm just, you know, happy that we're able to do that, and maybe moving forward next year, we can expand it a little more with, you know, some people that maybe don't have internet or the computer, they can see it in the water bill and the newsletter, so.
Right. I'd love to continue improving it.
Yeah,
year after
you're
year.
doing a great job, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's your assignment. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. Okay, next we'll have a council memo 57824, a public hearing for the 2024 property tax levy. I know there's a lot of questions that have come up. I don't know if people want a short presentation tonight from Kevin, or if you have questions now he can answer, or if you'd like to hear it all tomorrow. It's totally up to you. We're ready.
Mayor. Beth, yeah, a lot of calls, a lot of text messages.
Yeah, I saw the social media.
You got it.
Unfortunately, the patch article
Well, that's
maybe
why
didn't understand completely, so if you think it's helpful for Kevin to present now, then
It
I
is,
I
yeah.
agree, so, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
it's like, does this have to be done?
Yes,
is there
and we
state
have
statute?
comparables, like how much it'll cost someone with a $100,000 home, how much it'll cost someone $200,000. It's really lower than it has been in some time, but I'll let him present.
Thank you.
All that. It's really just, we're being as fiscally responsible as we can to continue to pay for the services that we have now. That's a big thing for me. Like, I don't want to see any reduction in service. And with all the other things that we balance, you know, on personnel and contracts and everything, we just have to really look at this closely, so.
Thank you.
Okay, so you know me, I love PowerPoints, so I wanted to put one together. So just some background on property taxes. So they're collected in arrears, so you may notice this is the 24 property tax levy. We collect those in 25. Property taxes are different than other property type or other tax types. We set the dollar amount to be collected, or unlike sales tax where we do a percent or any other revenue, we do a percent. This, we have to set the dollar amount. Law says if we go over 5% above what it was last year, we have to do a public hearing, which is why tomorrow we're looking to do a public hearing. Another big confusing factor among many people is we're a small portion of the bill. We're only 13% of the total bill. There's a number of other districts that go into the property tax bill. Historically, school districts and education institutions are what make up the largest component of the bill. So to get to this year's property tax levy, the first thing we did is we looked at what the value was that would be assessed, the tax. So ending last year, it was a value of, it's gonna round about $4.2 billion. So then we look at what permits were issued that are expected to be occupied in 2024. So after prorating all of those are new homes, businesses, warehouse, or other permitted improvements that were done, but $218 million in improvements that would hit the tax rolls this year. So it brings a total value of $4.4 billion. So what we want to do is we want to attach the current rate to that new property, right? Because as new buildings come in, we have to provide services, like for police, fire, public works, to all those new properties. So by taking the current rate that we have and applying that to that 218 million number, we get $2.5 million that's going to be assessed among that new property. That represents about 4.5% of the published 6% increase. Once again, I just want to highlight, the idea is if you don't tax that property to be able to bring those new services or provide them service, you're in essence eroding the level of service that we provide to the existing community, because we have to take our current level of service and now apply it over a bigger amount. We then, have a small 1% inflation, although inflation we know has outpaced that. We didn't want things to get away from us, so we have a small 1% inflation factor. You have the library's increase, they're looking for an increase to their amount. That's a total of under 1% of the total. It's 500,000. That's
For capital.
Thank you. It's for capital, and then also that new property component that I mentioned. And then, one thing that I had a request to kind of show this, the levy gets split up among different components of the city. And so you see it on the screen, you've got fire protection, general fund, police pension, fire pension. So it's important to note that those pension numbers, we don't even see those. Those don't even flow through us, they get sent right to the pension funds. By law, we're required to fund those. You see that those are going up, they go up every year, but you see that the rates are actually going down, once again, so they're not capturing all of that value. The equalizing factor is the general fund, which has a rate that goes up. The general fund does include police protection. Fire protection is split out separately, it's just based on the property tax code. But you see there that, you've got the pensions decreasing in rate, fire protection keeping the same. So only the library and the general fund are what's going up in the levy. So impacts, so there's a lot of information out there. Generally you see, there's a 6% increase that we publish. People panic. Once again, that factors all of that new property as well. So the impact to existing properties, that's what this slide is here for. So a property that's valued at $100,000, it pays, is going to see a $4 increase per year. If it's a $300,000 property, it's $12 a year. I threw a $50 million property, because we do have those, those are warehouses and industrial, they're going to pay an additional $2,000. So just kind of a scope of the impact of this levy. Really it's designed to capture that new growth that we're seeing across the city. Historically, so this time last year, about a month ago, I was up here talking about the levy. We'd been published for an increase. That increase ended up being about a 7% year-over-year increase. So it was actually higher. So this year we're coming in lower. Our rate this year is expected to be $1.31. Last year was $1.29. So not much of an increase. It was $1.30 in '22. But then I was able to go back 10 years quickly. Going from 21 to 14, it was all higher than what we're at today, or what we're projecting to be at. So I think overall, when you look at a 10-year period, we're still lower than what we historically have been, even with this basically a 1% increase in rate to the taxpayers. But with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, can we clarify, the gas tax proposal has nothing to do with this levy?
No.
Correct.
Nothing to do with it. In fact, I did mention to the Herald, it's actually not part of the budget either. That's a tax that would have to be voted on separately. So obviously if that tax is not voted on, then the budget would have to be changed or amended, because without revenue you can't have expenses, but that's not actually part of the budget. That's something separate that would be decided upon.
Can you go back to that slide about homes that are 100,000, 300,000, whatever you had up there. Can you touch on that one more time?
So this is the impact, the total impact of this on an existing property. 100,000, $4, $300,000 home, $12 a year. So this is, while it mentioned 6%, keep in mind, that's 6% across the total city. Once again, we're adding value, we're adding 218 million in value, so we have to apply that dollar amount to that, and then what's left gets hit on the remaining properties. So when you look at how much, you know, an existing property would have, those are the numbers. So if you have a $300,000 house, it's $12 a year.
A year.
A year.
It's important,
Yeah,
yeah.
not a month, a year.
Kevin, and I think people get confused on it, so let's break it down one here. So here we go. Am I better now? I was eating peanuts earlier, and I didn't want nobody to hear it.
We heard
So,
it anyway.
what, I got a big mouth in other words. What percentage of the tax bill goes to the city, for the homeowners?
13%.
Okay, so you got people that see a $6,000 tax bill, and they see 6.6% increase. They do their math on 6.6 to 6,000. First of all, the 6.6 is the overall increase, which includes new properties that are entering the rolls. 280 million, did we say 230 million?
218 million.
218 million. So in the end, it's a 1.05% increase to existing properties.
Correct.
And that's 1.05% increase on the city portion,
Correct.
you know. The vast majority of any homeowner's tax bill is schools. Frankly, state of Illinois doesn't fund them very well, so 90% of the budget comes from property tax, so 60 to 65% of every tax bill goes to the schools. Then you have library districts, in some cases out far west, okay? No fire districts because we're municipal, but you've got township, you've got county, you've got all kinds of levies in there in addition to that. And the city, municipal government makes up 13%. Last I realized, Joliet and we had made a commitment to hold the line for a number of years, and I think we're still gonna do it, is that actually the portion of our budget funded by the tax is lower than the average municipality, much lower. I remember we had a couple of city managers prior to our current one, Beth, who sat there when they got welcomed in, and they said, well, they both said separately, we noticed that Joliet's only like at 20% or 18.
You're correct, it's 20%.
Right, and other communities are at 36 to 45%. So we see, I say, you see no opportunity. I cut them right off, and there's no opportunity. We're gonna stay there. So we're staying there. Long and the short of it is, the tax levy, which is the total amount of assessed value, on which we can apply the tax rate and a multiplier. The tax levy is going to cost somebody with a $300,000 house $12.04 more a year.
Correct.
Because that's the long and short of it.
Right.
I think that's where people get confused when they hear these numbers or read them in the paper at 6.5%, and then they look at the tax bill and say it was 6,000. No, it's not that. It's just our portion, and it's only for existing property 1.05% more.
Correct.
Okay, that's my question, to clarify.
And one more thing, Kevin, that's on anybody that's under 65, right? Because 65 is frozen.
Yeah, it's based on what exemptions and what,
Right.
whether you have the senior freeze or not.
Yeah. That's important.
And I think it was 23% last year, it's 21% this year. Percent of the tax levy is of the budget, so it's still going down.
Okay. Any other questions? We'll do it again tomorrow. Kevin.
Yes.
Good practice run, thank you. If anybody wants to write about this one, please write it correctly.
Thanks, Kevin.
It can be complicated to the average person. I get it.
If you're here and you listen to it, but if you write something that you're not clear on, you shouldn't write it till you get the clarity, but you did a great job on it.
I would not disagree with you at all.
Bob Ocon's here, I'm sure you're gonna write as clear as a bell, right, Bob?
The pressure's on, Bob.
Bob just became a part of this council meeting.
Okay, as Kevin stated, then the next one is Council Memo 57924, ordinance for the levy and assessment of taxes for fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2023 in and for the Joliet Public Library, Will and Kendall counties in Illinois. Council Memo 58024, ordinance for the levy and assessment of taxes for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024 in and for the city of Joliet, Will and Kendall counties in Illinois. Council Memo 58124, public hearing for the 2025 fiscal year annual budget for the City of Joliet, Will, and Kendall counties, which we'll vote on next year. Or, I mean, not next year, next month, or at our next meeting. So, but the public hearing will be, yeah, we'd be in violation of state law. So if anyone from the state's listening, no, it'll not be next year. It will be at our next city council meeting. Sorry about that. On to ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance Council Memo 58324, ordinance amending the 2024 annual budget for the City of Joliet and the purchase of automatic external defibrillators, life rings with cabinets and alarms, and office space reconfigurations at fire stations 1 and 6. Resolutions, Council Memo 58524, resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the City of Joliet and Joliet Township. So Joliet Township got some CDBG funding for a property, and we need to, this MOU, because the township has agreed to maintain the use of the building and continue to meet national objectives until the end of the CDBG agreement term. So they have to follow all the legal and HUD remediation regulations for the properties. So it's just an MOU clarifying that.
Question on that. Just to be clear, so the township, as a separate municipal entity, doesn't get it direct. They get it through us.
They get it through us, yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Mayor.
Question.
Can I go back to, I'm sorry about that, if I interrupted somebody. Can I go back to the 58324?
Yeah.
All in favor of that? Are we amending this year because we're saving money? Is that what this is, or why can't we just add it to the current?
After adopting the 2024 budget, we received $51,725 for the sale, and so we have to amend the budget in order to spend these dollars on the new equipment.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And these 51,000 are grant dollars.
What's the sale?
Always-
It was from the sale of our old radios,
Okay, so
Okay.
sale junk radio, so to speak, okay.
of our junk
I
radios.
just wanted to make sure that people realize we're not adding money to the budget.
No, we sold some old radios that weren't working for us
But
anymore.
whether it's through sale or Beth, or it's through a grant, you still have to go through the formality
Yes.
of putting the money in the budget
Yep.
and then approving this expenditure.
Yeah, and in this case, amending the budget so we can do it.
Larry, thanks for clarifying.
I get it. I wanted to make sure, because I'm dim with it.
Anybody else? Okay. Where was I?
586.
586. 58624, resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the State of Illinois Department of Transportation for the design, operation, and maintenance of an advanced traffic management system. So IDOT, we have an agreement in place where IDOT pays us to maintain the traffic signals on state routes. So this is the resolution memorializing that. Council Memo 58724, 58824, and 58924 are all housekeeping resolutions that we need to pass when we're spending MFT funding. The state requires us to do this in advance, so they know the funds are there for the council to pass them. So those are all housekeeping. And that concludes it.
Next is public comments. Is there anyone who would like to address the council this evening? Anyone? Okay. Seeing none, I did receive a request for closed session. Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition or conveyance, pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Cardenas?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Ibarra?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Mayor Darcy?
Aye.
Motion carried.